Do you think that there is a disconnect in old ministry and new ministry?
I do.
Can you speak on it?
I believe that old ministry, which I was a part of, was inundated with the work of the church or the work of God instead of knowing the God of the work. This new millennials, the new church, they're more caught up with their relationship with God where they are.
Right.
We were brought up, you had to do this, you had to do that, you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there. And when you do those things, you have an inroad to God.
Yeah.
When Christ came on the scene, that's what the old religious beliefs was. You had to obey the law. You had to go here, and you had to go there. And Jesus came and brought this thing called grace into the lives of people. That if you accept the grace of God, because nobody could get the whole law right. Nobody could follow all the rules. And so this relationship with God is not religious. So these young people today, you know, they're not caught up with all the rules and the regulations. They want a relationship with God. They want to know that God loves them where they are. Because all of us, like you said earlier, fall short of the glory of God. And it's very important that we get honest with ourselves. I've been teaching, I'm glad you talked about that. I've been teaching lately on self-examination. So you know I come from the drug game. Right?
Did not know that.
I come from the drug game. I sold dope when I went to Howard University. I started selling
You went to
dope.
Howard?
Yeah, I went to Howard.
What? My brother went to HU.
Yeah.
Or as they say, the real HU.
Right, so so in the mid 80s, around 85, crack cocaine hit the scene.
Yes, sir.
And I got caught up with freebasing. And then I got strung out on cocaine and crack.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I went through rehabs and I went to jail and I went here and I went there. But when I finally made up my mind that I really want to get my life together, I had to go through some stuff and learn about who Vance really was, because drugs was never my problem. Right? Vance was the problem.
Yeah.
And so I had to do a lot of self-examination.
Yes.
I had to deal with some personal stuff that I really didn't like about me. It didn't have nothing to do with church. It didn't have nothing to do with God. It had everything to do with who I was.
Accountability.
Accountability. So I had to make some self-examinations. I had to find out my self-centeredness was the core of who I was, that I was selfish, that I was, I had low self-esteem, that I was insecure as a man. And I had to deal with that. And I dealt with that through relationships and resentment and bitterness and anger. And all this stuff was built up on the inside. So I would dress up like Versace on the outside, but I felt like Kmart on the inside.
No, you would.
Yes, sir.
Not Kmart.
Kmart. Kmart. It was a facade. And that's what the church looked like.
Yeah.
The church is an outside job.
Yeah.
You were talking about Samuel earlier. And Samuel, when he came to choose David for the next king, he said that man looks at the outward appearance.
And he had so let me get my little flex on right now. Samuel went to I can't remember the name, but he went into the tribe to ask for the sons.
Jesse, sons of Jesse.
They kept bringing one. Oh, you gonna like him? He's so strong and that's not him. He was waiting for a sign from God. He sent another one. Boom, another one comes in. He's like, you sure, God? Man, this one, he's tall, he's strong, he almighty. Not him either. And son after son after son after son after son, he could have brought 1,000 sons.
Listen, watch this. I just heard something. That's the distinction between the old church and the new church. The older sons, they looked the part.
Yes, sir.
But the younger son is the day's church. God looked at his heart. See, we had this form of fashion. You had to go here. You couldn't wear. Women couldn't wear a
dress.
Right.
Couldn't wear pants.
The outward appearance. So that's what the old church looked like.
Yeah.
The new church, they just love God.
Yeah.
They want God right where they were. David was in the sheep field.
Yes, he was.
Tending the sheep, picking up sheep dung.
Yes, he was.
Blowing kisses to God.
Yeah.
Saying, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Yeah. And Samuel said, that's the one. That's the one, because he loves me from his heart. Jesus said this to all the religious people. You look like white sepulchres on the outside, but you look like dead man bones on the inside. You blow kisses with me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. See, it's not about how you do it, where you go, who you with. It's your heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. See, that's what God did. And many of us, even in the church, we need to circumcise the heart.
Yeah.
We need to pull it back, cut it off, and throw it away.
No, man, they don't like that.
Circumcise the heart.
They
That's
don't
what
like
the
that,
Bible
dude.
talks about, getting this clean heart, because God ain't looking at our rules and religion. He's looking at our hearts.
Yes, sir.
And when you got the love of God in your heart, you won't be judgmental.
Yes, sir.
You meet people where they are.
Yes, sir.
You love them where they are.
Yes, sir.
You don't act arrogant. Because when you got the right heart, God says there's nothing I'll withhold from you.
Man, listen, I think this here recent, you on something right now, Bishop, and I'm trying to keep you in your phase, you know what I mean? Because you feel like you like Samson. You know what I'm saying? Your hair keep growing longer and longer and longer. You keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But, man, this was placed on my heart a couple of days ago. I was talking to a business partner of mine, and I told him, and we have a working relationship, right? And I'm invested in a company that I've known little of him, but more or less just trying to educate myself with this process. But needless to say, he said something. He said, Cam, he said, bro, you ain't got to worry about ego with me. Because ego for me is an acronym for easing God out.
Yes, sir.
I said, oh, man, you said something, brother. And I said, man, what you even telling me that, bro, that's my accountability for me to always do right by you. And God, he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't look on the outer realm. He looks at your heart.
That's right.
And I always tell people that's close to me, I'm not a verbal person. A lot of people may say, man, Cam, bro, you gotta be a little bit more softer, man. You gotta, follow up and do this and do that. I tell even my partner that's in my life right now, I tell her, I said, babe, look, I'm an action person. Just because I don't tell you I love you, I'm gonna show you I love you.
Sure.
I'm gonna make sure that everything that you need, that's the type of person that I'm gonna be for you, because my father, my earthly father was the person, that's who he was for our family.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But that didn't make him either less to say, I already know if anything hell or high water come down to me, I know my father's gonna be there. My father we've never kissed. We probably, when we hug, it's only on a man hug, you know what I'm saying? We haven't really, had that intimate type of relationship, but I know, and it took me some time to understand that, I know who my father is to me, and I love him for that. Yeah. And I think my mother, she brings out a different side of me, just like anybody else does. So, for that specific moment, I think you have a moment that you have to tap in and say, man, listen, I want to be my best version of myself internally. And every single prayer that I pray, I want people to see the God in me. There's some issues that I have. I've been trying to fight my tongue for years and years, because my younger brother, who did go to Howard, he just graduated with his master's from Auburn. He is now, going to
awesome.
William and Mary right now. Yeah. He's just been there for a week, I think, right now. But he doesn't curse. Yeah. And I said, man, I admire that, man. But my road to my walk with God is completely different than his walk with God. You know what I'm saying?
But your heart, your heart. See, love is the law of Christ's kingdom. That's the one word, love, is the law. Jesus said this one time, man. It blew the disciples' mind, because he said, the world would know that you are my disciples by how you love one another. That's how, not how well you can preach, not how well you can sing, not how well you can administrate, not how well you can do business. They would know that you're my disciples by how you love one another. And that's tough. Yeah. Because people can be flat out crazy.
They can.
But we gotta love them, or love me through it. And when you have that type of agape love that's unconditional, right? That we can love people through anything. Yeah. And that's the law of Christ's kingdom.